wanna get away, but I could use some company. If you're alone like me, we could go on a trip. Girl, I wanna see the sun, dive into the deep ocean, dance with you all night long, move as you swing your hips. Let's take a break from the stress and the hate. Feel the loving, feel the rhythm, singing oh na na, oh na na. I wanna go where the birds fly low, feel my heartbeat, feel the music, singing oh na 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 na. I can take you anywhere you want if you come with me tonight. I can show you things you've never seen if you come with me tonight. Say the words and I'll make it happen. Where do you wanna go? I can take you anywhere you want if you come with me tonight. Life is so bittersweet, let me put your mind at ease. Trust me, I'll take the lead, cause I wanna ride with you. Just give in to the fire, cause I'ma take you higher. You're my only desire, yeah. Let's take a break from the stress and the hate. Feel the loving, feel the rhythm, singing oh na na, oh na na. I wanna go where the birds fly low, feel my heartbeat, feel the music, singing oh na 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 na. I can take you anywhere you want if you come with me tonight. I can show you things you've never seen if you come with me tonight. Say the words and I'll make it happen. Where do you wanna go? I can take you anywhere you want if you come with me tonight. If you come with me tonight. If you come with me tonight. Feel the rising heat, feel the moving beat. I know what you need, singing oh na na, oh na na. Dancing in the sun, dancing all night long. Oh, won't you come with me, singing oh na 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 na. I can take you anywhere you want if you come with me tonight. I can show you things you've never seen if you come with me tonight. Say the words and I'll make it happen. Where do you wanna go? I can take you anywhere you want if you come with me tonight. If you come with me tonight, I can take you anywhere you want if you come with me tonight. If you come with me tonight.
lika bara möttes. Kommer du ihåg det igen? Kommer du ihåg det igen? Du vill ha ice and little fingers, då du vet det chalas. All in, ingen broms, schackmatt på din vänster hand. Du är så viktig baby, ja du allians. Du är försiktig baby, men du gav mig en chans. Det är 50-50 baby, men det är balans. Jag växlar upp med dig baby, ingen annan. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Som det, baby. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Du är mitt liv baby. Aldrig titta på någon annan, varför du med annan? Kom var med mig baby. Aldrig lita på någon annan. Finns ingen annan, jag vill ha min chokarina. Låsa och säg ingen sinna. Jag kommer alltid ride with you. 100 gubbar klart jag die for you. Du är så viktig baby, ja du allians. Du är försiktig baby, men du gav mig en chans. Det är 50-50 baby, men det är balans. Jag växlar upp med dig baby, ingen annan. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Du är mitt liv baby. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Du är mitt liv baby. Visa mig vart du finns. Du kommer väl till min city? Nej, jag vet att det finns. Kom det är bra lives and all nights, yeah. Jag vet att jag minns kör det. Skön social smart good lady. Jag tvivlar det. Visa mig vart du finns, yeah. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Du är mitt liv baby. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Du är mitt liv baby. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Du är mitt liv baby. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Du är mitt liv
Giddy up, 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 giddy up. I got horses in the back, trunk in the front, exterior red and that inside buttercup. I got what you need, I got what you want, I got what you need. Tell them giddy up, call her whoop, cause she poppin'. D4L, that's no option. She my one and only lover. So much fun, like I'm Thugger. Giddy up, fill my cup, cheddar cheese, Velveeta, put in work, double up. And I can't waste none of my time, so stop clogging up my line. Giddy up, 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 giddy up. I got horses in the back, trunk in the front, exterior red and that inside buttercup. I got what you need, I got what you want, I got what you need. Tell them giddy up. Rubber band, band, band man, band man like the cannon. I like dancing. See you panic, see you scrambling. Giddy up, keep it tough. Put in work, on the hush. What's the word? Calling bluffs. Now I can't waste none of my time, so stop clogging on my line. Giddy up, 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 giddy up. I got horses in the back, trunk in the front, exterior red and that inside buttercup. I got what you need, I got what you want, I got what you need. Tell them giddy up. I got horses in the back, trunk in the front, exterior red and that inside buttercup. I got what you need, I got what you want, I got what you need. Tell them giddy up.
Fire for your mind. The kosher clinician. Mental illness has become paramount currently in this current country that we live in. And because of that, when you think about people like Brittnay Renner, it's evident that there's something mystical going on. There's a clinical terminology that I created called magical thinking. Magical thinking refers to the ideal that you can influence the outcome of specific events by doing something that has no bearing on the circumstance. And the reason why I decided to broach this topic, or more or less bring it up to point, is because Brittnay Renner appears to be delusional, which is a byproduct of magical thinking. Brittnay Renner actually said that a woman can be a hoe and a housewife at the same time. And unfortunately, Brittnay Renner will realize at some point in her life that not only is the fat meat greasy, but you can't do two. The gospel said that you can't take new wine and put it into old wineskins. And Brittnay Renner will soon see, or more or less suffer, the recompense of her error. If you look at what's going on in this society, many mental illnesses, or what I call psychopathologies, are actually occurring in this society. And there's something in the tenets of theology that says that the eyes to the soul, that the eyes to the soul, that the windows to the soul is actually the eyes. Could it be that Brittnay Renner has more or less been a victim of some undiagnosed issues or some abuse in the past? And because of that, will Brittnay Renner continue to go in that negative ongoing cycle, using, abusing, and more or less doing things to her body that can cause shame and harm? We're going to explore Brittnay Renner and her thinking errors and what the outcomes will be if she doesn't change the error of her ways. Let's look at this clip.
Help.
So we bring it to you live once again from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State. Now listen guys, this show is going to be very informative, and we're going to look at the psychopathology that's going on concerning Brittnay Renner. To the men that are listening, many of you have actually dated women that more or less manifest traits like Brittnay Renner, and you've more or less been in a tailspin of negative relationships and also questioning yourself, because mostly women in situations like this are often gaslight. So we're going to look at this clip, we're going to explore it, and then we want the men to come on and talk about the relationships. Magical thinking is a concept that I did not create, even though I said it earlier. I didn't create the term magical thinking. But magical thinking actually comes from people that have delusional personality disorders. And so magical thinking basically means that you can more or less dictate the outcome of a situation by just thinking about it. So we're going to look at this clip. For the guys that are listening, everyone hit the one button. Please share the content. Share the content right now. Once you share it, let me know. It's 7 in the room. Please share the content, because some of you could be dating women that exhibit these traits. So share the content as we're talking, and hit 1 once you've sent this information to at least 3 to 5 people. All right, so let's listen.
Went to a housewife. Good. Because I'm both. I don't have to choose. I thought you wanted me to be a little whore. No? Oh, that's no fun. I'm gonna start calling people's opinions of me fan theories, because that's truly what they are. They are based in nothing but falsehood, projections, and judgment. not too much creativity put into that. Now, I don't do apologies because I am so not sorry. To regret anything I've done.
And so, guys, you listen to what she said. She said, I am so not sorry, regardless of what I've done. Normally, people that have narcissistic personality disorders or more or less narcissistic traits, they lack empathy. And many lack empathy because of what they've been through, because they've normally been through trauma. You see a lot of traits in Brittnay Renner that you see, unfortunately, in some modern women. And because of that, a lot of guys have gotten in relationships where they become broken and more or less sabotage because they didn't see more or less the negative tendencies associated with that relationship. So keep listening, guys. And you're right, Tim Harden, some are witches.
Is to regret the awareness that I've gained. I don't like the sound of that. If it taught me something, it made me better. So why do I have to pacify a man to make you feel better? Because the difference between me and you is that I have more courage in my big toe than you do in your whole entire body. And anything that I say, just telling the truth, anything I say that scares someone off, I'm glad. Because that's one less coward to waste my fucking time. Bye-bye. I stand on everything I said. I stand on everything I did. And if it doesn't work for you, then you don't work for me. Because I don't gonna lie. Who are you? You only lie when you're afraid. And who are you to me? What's crazy is there's a lot of y'all in relationships.
Thank you. So what you're seeing in Brittnay, thank you guys, I had to unmute myself, but what you're seeing in Brittnay is this. It's a potential that she either has borderline personality disorder, cluster B, or also it's a potential that she could be exhibiting narcissistic personality disorder as well. And a lot of times, guys, in these scenarios, you know, they not only lack empathy, but they can't see gray. They can only see black and white. And if you look at the Twilight Zone circle, it's almost like she's gone down the rabbit hole because she can only see black and white and she can't see gray. And some of you guys are, you know, have been in relationships like this where you guys have more or less been pigeonholed. And one of the typical traits of women like this is that they actually gaslight. So what they normally do, they love bomb you, they pull you to them, then they hate you, and then they get rid of you. And they do that because their ego is fragile due to the trauma that they've been through. So keep listening, guys. Keep listening.
That are fucking miserable. And the only reason you're still in a relationship is because you tolerated being cheated on and mistreated. Let's get into it. A lot of you don't have the courage to leave something that's comfortable, something that looks good, because the unknown terrifies you. I was there once, so it's no judgment. The right people will gravitate towards you. And it's just better to own your truth and see who's meant to be around. Because, sweetie, this ship is sailing. So if you want to jump overboard, if you want to steer clear, please leave me the fuck alone. I do not have time to waste. And I'm not like these other bitches that will just accept your crumbs. I need the whole loaf. The whole motherfucking thing.
Do you hear what she said? I will not accept your crumbs. And so a lot of time it's delusions of grandeur, but also a terminology called grandiosity. You know, they have grandiosity where they feel like they're actually better than what they really are. And guys, they do this or more or less manifest this behavior because they have what's called a very fragile schema. I told you guys that many women and men unfortunately have something called a schema affliction. And that schema affliction is normally due to a pattern or a thinking pattern that's due to pain. But what Brittnay Renner appears to be having is a new term that I've created, similar to Kevin Samuels, but totally different, is something called death. And death stands for deny. Then they become enraged. They argue, or they fight or flee to more or less deal with the affliction that they are dealing with. And that's what you're seeing a lot of times in modern dating and relationships. And so this clip is about to end soon, but I want you guys to come on the panel and we're going to have a discussion about times where you all have been more or less impacted by women that could be exhibiting not only narcissistic personality disorder, but also borderline personality disorder cluster B. Keep listening.
And if that makes me the wicked witch of the ground, that'll be that. Start a documentary. Call it Surviving Brittnay Renner. I want to fund it. I need a good laugh.
All right, so I want some of the guys to come on the panel. Let's have a discussion. I'm going to drop the link. And what's your take on Brittnay Renner and the behaviors that she's more or less exhibiting? And have you guys dealt with women that have exhibited the behaviors of Brittnay Renner? So click on the link. Let's have a discussion. What do you see in Brittnay Renner? And tell me why it's so troubling. And is this behavior typical of many modern women that you guys have dated? So let's have a discussion. So let's get a first comment. Someone click on the link. Click on the link. Let's have a discussion. And also, guys, please share the content because these shows are very critical. There are a lot of you guys that are listening to this show that have been impacted not only financially, but you guys have been impacted mentally and spiritually because you dealt with women like Brittnay Renner. They have more or less got you caught up in a tailspin. And see, here's the sad thing. Many men are experiencing the lack of love. Many men are experiencing the lack of peace and tranquility. And many men are experiencing the lack of respect. And because of that, a lot of men are suffering in silence. So Chaos Ring, I see you, brother. Come on in, Chaos Ring. How you doing, sir? Welcome to the stream.
How you doing? How you doing, Culture?
How you doing, brother? What's going on?
My question, I've been hearing this lately about this woman right here on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Was she married to this brother?
Yeah, some say she was secretly married to P.J. Washington, but she divorced him, I think. But that's typical. Many of them actually use Chaos Ring. They use a technique called push and pull. So they love bomb you, they reel you in, and then they discard you like a praying mantis. And they do that to protect their fragile ego because many that are victims of borderline personality disorders, they can't see gray, they can only see black and white. So that's why when you look at the picture of the rabbit hole that she's going down, it's black or white, it's no gray in the middle. Most human beings that are healthy can see gray. But unfortunately, it looks like Brittnay Renner can't see gray, she can only see black and white, and that's her way to protect the fragile ego that she has.
You know, it's funny you mentioned black and white because she is from here partially black and white. That's another story. But my thing is this. It seemed to me she had a very unique plan. And let's be fair honest. She is at the wall stage next year. So any other potential contenders, she's only going to be dealing with mostly brothers, Culture. Mm-hmm. Because when they look at her and look at her back, remember, other groups of men watch this. You get me? That have status. You get me? You think they're going to get involved with this? With all the receipts and in and out as she is? But in her mind, she feels she don't really needs a man. So she feels getting, I guess, maybe in child support, which is not going to be much. It's going to be a lot, but not what they said she's going to be entitled to. That she's going to find another sucker to have another kid. She's doing what I like to call the pilot effect.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get this man over here. Get this man over here. Oh, matter of fact, he looks cute. Man, he looks dumb. Let me get his genetics over here so I can get some resource of that. Get some resource over this. And I'm good. I'm set. Because in her mind, she doesn't want to be bounded. Because a lot of modern women today, brother, marriage, if you hear them talk about it, is what they call slavery.
Right.
It's a prison.
Right.
So how she moves around, she already shown clear that say, well, you can't call me a baby mama because I was allegedly married. No, you still a baby mama because you what marriage? You have not even been in anything. You just do it just to have the title, or what we don't know if you really married, just to lose that, so it prevents you of the stigma of the term baby mama. But you're still a baby mama nonetheless. You get me? In my eyes. And I don't care what most people say. She is. Because look how she went about it.
Mm-hmm.
She went in just to have the illusion that, nothing she did wrong. And once she cuts the ties with the baby, she up here saying, and then moving the way she is, like a child, and acting real more immature, which is expected, and think it's cool. Even to the point where you hear other so-called wall celebrities saying, yes, it is stepdaddy season. You get me?
Right.
Because these women don't have nothing to offer. And they already priced themselves out the market, brother. And it's very sad that they might have so-called potential. But it goes back to the fact that I'm telling young black man, because you're older, brother, and everybody here is no say, that the game that's going to be played now is on younger males. They're not getting no 30 or maybe late 20 or older man at this point in the game. Because, let's be honest, the sensors are on with men that's a little older. So what's the next best bet for women? And she said in her previous video, said, get someone that's about to come on up. Because they're dumb. They don't do this, do that. So you're looking for someone that is a sucker and very immature so you can get a quick bag.
Right.
And that's what she has accomplished. And really, to be honest with you, instead of present to people that's a celebrity. Now, regardless of the average man or the man right now is doing what he's supposed to be doing, I mean, it's not too concerning yet, but you should always pay attention that this is the mindset that other women follow from other women, regardless if they are racially ambiguous or not. I hope I'm clear in my dissertation.
Oh, yeah. You're fine, man. You're fine. And see, guys, I have these shows. So shout out to my man, Tom Cutler. He's an image coach, but also he coaches men that are afflicted by women that have personality disorders. Tom, I want you to introduce yourself. But before you do that, guys, I need your help. Please share the content, get the likes up, and please donate to $ Cash App 7 Small if you like what I'm doing. I wanted to take this time to talk about these thinking errors and these schema afflictions that you're seeing in some modern women, so that the men that are dating know what to look out for and understand that some of these psychopathologies are normal that you see in many modern women. So Tom Cutler, introduce yourself, brother. Tell the people who you are. And guys, I'm about to go onto my other machine, so if you can't hear me for a minute, I'm tired of me talking. And so go ahead, Tom.
Yes, brothers, thank you for inviting me on the show, coach and clinician. I'm Ty Kuttner, image coach. Also, I help men move on from betrayal relationships, whether it's cheating, infidelity, divorces, whatever the case. And so what ends up happening is during these calls, a guy will call me and he'll see an ad that, the company puts up, and we'll basically show you what happens, right? What a woman does to a man. The first thing that she does to the man is she idolizes that man, right? She makes him feel like he's the best thing. So I'm not real too familiar with this story. I believe this is a story where the young woman got the athlete, and now he's paying, hundreds of $1,000s a month in alimony and child support. What ends up happening is the woman does three things to the man. She idolizes him, makes him feel like he's the best thing ever. He's amazing. She praises him. She gives him everything he wants. So he starts to believe that she's the best thing, that she's the one, she's my soulmate. The next thing she starts to do is she starts to berate him, right? She starts to not feel him, not need him, not want him around. She starts check-tizing him. She starts ignoring him. She starts doing these things. And then what he ends up doing is he starts to chase after her, right? He starts to try to do things to get her back to the way she was in the first stage, right? Idolization. He tries to get her back to that. And then the last thing she does is she discards him, right? So she may start entertaining other men. She may start cheating on him. She disappear. This is when, she may be calling the cops on him, stuff like that. And this is what ends up happening, right? And when that happens, when she's doing these things, he's still trying to chase her. He's still trying to get her back to being the way he starts to devalue himself, right? He starts to he forgets who he is. He forgets who he is as a man, and he starts to chase after her, making his life about her. Now, what we end up doing on the call, every single call that I have ends up the same. I say the same exact thing to every man that I get on a call. When you're going through a situation like this, you've lost yourself as a man. So it's very difficult for me to tell men here's what you need to look for in women. Here's how to find the right and wrong woman. Here's how to identify if the woman is good for you or not. It's very difficult for me to do that because we as men, we see women, they're beautiful. We're not looking at them like that. You want her to be the best one. You want to believe her. When she's idolizing you, you want to believe what she's saying. You want to be like, yes, this is the one for me. You want to believe that. And if somebody comes along and tell you that, yeah, we can hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
If you can hear me, put a thumb up if you can hear me. Okay, I can hear you guys. All right. Keep talking, Tom. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So the man wants to believe that this woman is the best woman for him, rather. So he's going to believe it. He's going to believe that she's the one, even if he just went through a bad relationship. And this is another thing. Guys come to me, and the thing I teach them is they have to improve this, because what ends up happening is they get into another bad relationship because they are looking for, when you're down deep in the dirt, when she's cheating on you and all these things, you're looking for someone to console you, kiss you, hug you, give you an orgasm. Another woman come around, give you those things, especially if you're a man who's successful, you still have some money, you're still young, handsome, you still got a good career. Other women are going to come after you. They're going to do the same thing to you. Then you're going to feel like she's doing it for you. And this is the pattern with the man. The man has to be improved, right? You cannot change the environment. These women are doing this because they can. As long as they can do it, they will do it, right? If there's free food, I'm going to get that free food. This is the nature of humans. So I never go after people personally. This is the nature of human beings. So I, as a relationship coach, I teach the man how to avoid these situations from happening in the first place, so he's not vulnerable to these type of women. All right. There's a like a hissing beeping sound. I'm not sure if that's if anybody else can hear that.
All right, so Todd, that's some excellent points. I can't hear you guys, but guys, so I know Corey, you came in, Classy Young Man came in, and so Classy Young Man, give your points of reference while I try to get this headphone set right, because I can't hear you guys, about this whole Brittnay Renner situation, because I'm sure some of you guys have been through it, and I know Todd gave a great expose about the negative pathology that we see in relationships. And listen, guys, if you like what we are doing, please donate to $ Cash App 7 Smalls. Please donate to $ Cash App 7 Smalls. Get the likes up. If you don't have any money to share, please share the content to at least 4 to 5 men that may be impacted by these issues. So, Classy Young Man, I want you to break it down for me, brother, and then we're going to bring Roger in about the things that are going on. Break it down for me, Classy Young Man.
Well, when I look at Brittnay Renner, can y'all hear me okay? I'm outside, actually. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What I was going to say, when I saw that video, I was like, she's projecting, because she knows it's about to go downhill from this here on out, based on the fact that I compare Brittnay Renner to like fresh fruit in the beginning. And, after a while, if you don't touch it, if you don't mess with it, it starts to old and age, and it starts to do what? It starts to rot from the inside out. So what's happening to her right now? She's starting to show her true colors. That's what I mean by the fruit. And what's going on is that she's projecting because she knows PJ Washington's probably the best she's going to get from this here on out. At this point on, she's going to get a lot of men with a lot of money, but all they're going to do is pass her around. So what she's doing is just, just showing her tail off. That's all she's doing right now. And she's doing it because she knows there's a lot of people that's going to say, yeah, Brittany, you go, girl. You do this in this stepdaddy season crap, because she knows that she's going downhill. And she got to get the next best thing she can get at this point. Because a lot of people thought she did PJ wrong, but at the same time, he should have known better as well. But she's just projecting. That's all she's doing. She's not really trolling. She's telling her truth. Oh.
Yeah. I think Coastal Clinician is fixing his mic. So
I understand.
So I guess I'll jump in.
Yeah, there we go. So I was asking him, do you feel like, does she have an undiagnosed mental illness? Ty, what do you think? I think she does. But Corey also.
She does.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I think she does.
And so this is typical of a lot of women that we deal with, guys. Would you not agree? How many men have been in relationships with women that exhibited the personalities or the behaviors that Brittnay Renner is experiencing, only to be discarded when they draw them in? If you have been impacted by women like Brittnay Renner, hit 1 in the chat. But go ahead, Ty, and then I'm gonna let Corey come back, and then I'm gonna let Roger bring it in.
Yeah. So there's a bit of an echo.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. You're echoing, Kosher.
I'm echoing. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay. So when it, like I said earlier, these situations are going to happen when they're allowed to happen, right? This is the course that a good portion of women are going to be on. A good portion of women are going to be on this. It's almost like if the brick truck crashes and a big bag of money comes out the back of the truck, how many people are going to grab that money? They're going to be a small percentage of people who are going to return that money back. Some people are going to take some, give some back. Some people are going to take it all, right? If the man is that brick truck, if he's dropping the things off, if he's being free, if he's not being cautious, if he's seeing these women as the princesses and the beautiful queens and they could do no wrong and she loves me, she's the one for me. If you start seeing them in that way, then you can't really see who they truly are, because you want them to be what you want them to be, and you're going to want them to be the best they can be because you've picked them. You've said, this is my girl, this is the one I chose. If you was to say that she's bad, if you was to be honest with yourself and say how bad she is, you have to also say that you made a wrong decision, not only to yourself but to society. And if you're a celebrity, that could be a shaming thing, especially if you're in sports. That's a competitive sport. Everybody on the opposite team is going to be whispering something in his ear when they play the game with him. You know what I mean? So this is not something, especially when you have men who haven't been raised in an environment where men are in control, where you're being guided and mentored by other men, not just when it comes to your craft, but when it comes to being a man, elevating as a man with women, being with women, identifying how to find a wife, how to get a wife, what a wife is. Because the things that she did, the things that she was communicating at a mile away. Any blind Stevie Wonder could see that what kind of woman she is. She's an IG girl. What kind of personality is that? It's a person who's looking for attention. She's famous because she's pretty. That's where her fame came from. Is she gonna settle down during her prime years? It really doesn't make sense for her to do that. When she feel like she can get more, this is when hypergamy kicks in at a phenomenal rate. When she thinks she can get more, she's going to keep on trying to get more. If the men are ripe for that, if they're going to crash their brick truck and drop the money out the bag, what's going to end up happening? This is going to happen. She's just another figure, but it's PJ, right? And the guys like him, the men who are like him. This is the problem. If he didn't do these things, if he wasn't acting this way, it could not happen. The same way when we say, women have to guard their wombs, right? No baby is born unless a woman allows it. Same thing is true for the men. No woman can take from you unless you allow that to happen, right? So you as the man have to be on your square and understanding what's happening. A lot of men don't realize this. They allow themselves to fall in from beauty. They allow themselves to fall in that trap of being cared for because they're missing. There's some other issues that's happening, some emotional issues. When I'm on the phone with gentlemen, I realize there's a lot of emotional issues and emotional wounds that they're expecting the woman in their life to heal. And that woman, as long as she's with them, is healing those wounds. That's the reason why they do everything to keep her around, even if she's harming him, right? And these harm could come from many forms. Physical abuse. I've had guys who've been going through physical abuse with their women, guys who've been getting locked up, to get the woman lying on them, taking it. A guy get kicked out of his own house, a house he paid for, a house he moved her into. He gets kicked out and a restraining order gets put on him. He can't go back to his own house, yet still he has to pay the bills. This is stuff that happens, okay? This can only happen when we have men who are out here allowing this stuff to happen.
So Corey, I want you to give your point of reference. I'm trying to get the system together, but Todd's spitting some gems. But I want you to give your point of reference to why you think this is, and then Roger, I want you to come in and more or less give your own anecdotal evidence of the Brittnay Renner types that you've seen in relationships.
Who, Roger coming in or who you?
I'm sorry, Roger. You can go ahead and go before me. I'm having some technical difficulties.
Okay. All right, no worries. Can everybody hear me fine? Everybody hear me? Good. All right. So the thing with Brittnay Renner, first of all, she's undefendable, but I got to throw her a lifeline. What I will say is this. I'm not really mad at Brittnay for what she did to PJ. I'm a firm believer that if you see a ham sandwich, you bite them. That's just how that goes. A lion, when he sees a gazelle out in the jungle, he doesn't say, well, that's a baby gazelle, I'm not going to eat it. He just sees an opportunity. And Brittnay saw an opportunity, and she took it. Now, is it morally right? Absolutely not. But nevertheless, she took it. Now, PJ, that could have been easily been me, because when I was his age, I was just as clueless as he was. That could have been easily been me. So I'm not really mad at her for what she did. However, she wasn't happy just being a thought in private. She wasn't happy being a hoe in private. She wanted everybody to know what she did. Okay, we know now. Now we have to deal with you accordingly. You get what I'm saying? Now, when I look at Brittnay, does she has a mental illness like most of these pretty chicks? Yes, she does. And I'm going to get into that heavy. Yes, she has a mental illness. But what I see when she records this video, I see somebody who knows she's self-destructing and doesn't know how to stop doing it. She knows what she's doing is counterproductive, but she doesn't know how to stop herself. Like most females are self-destructive. If you leave a female alone for 12 months, trust me, self-destructing is bound to happen. Now, in my personal life, I have been cursed, and that's what it is, a curse, to be with, let's say, a 9. There was both 9s. I can't give them 10s because there was both single mamas. So I can give them, you can't be a 10 and be a single mama. It just doesn't work that way. But anyway, these two girls were gorgeous. They were both batshit crazy, both of them. I mean, I'm talking about grab the steering wheel while you're driving, hit themselves, makeup, it's just unfit parents. It was just they're all on, most of these chicks, they are on psychoactive drugs. Most of them are. I have verified it. One of the girls I was messing with, I took a Xanax to go with the Tylenol. So I know they're on drugs. Most of them. No, I'm serious. Most of them on psychoactive drugs because they just been through a lot of stuff. So just to end with this, she is bringing, she knows it. She knows what she's doing is counterproductive. But like most of them, she doesn't know how to stop herself. And it's very hard for you to stop yourself when you got all these blue check marks egging you on, thinking that go ahead, girl. And really and truly, all these Amber Roses and B. Simone, they just want you in a miserable place along with them. They don't want to be solo. So they're encouraging this self-destruction. This is what it is. Self-destruction. You want everybody to know you was a hoe and a thought? We know. Now we're going to deal with you accordingly. This is how we got to deal with you. what do you think your prospects are going to be after you just let this whole story out? You think you about to grab you a Diddy or a Dr. Dre or friggin' a cultural clinician? You think you about to come on up? No, it's a wrap. You're done. It's a wrap. Your name should be changed to Get Up Your Uber Outside, because you're going to hear that a lot. Get up your Uber outside. So that's my little 2 cents on that.
Chaos Ray, what's your take on what Roger said, man? And have you been involved in relationships like this where you more or less been pigeonholed by women that are unsavory, like Brittnay Renner? And guys, to the guys that are listening, it's about 9 guys in the chat. I think everybody looking at football tonight. But please donate $ Cash App 7 Smalls. If you like the content, please share it. These topics are very important because many of you guys are dating women that are byproducts of mental illness. Chaos Ring, what's your take on this?
I'm trying to follow through. My thing is this: like always, protection is better than the cure. There's a lot of narcissism in our communities. The only thing I could say is you have to really do 2 things: do what we call a shit test. I'm just keeping it clear. Or you could another alternate way is, like I said, damn, I gotta think about it's good, man, because I know people gonna listen to this. You're just gonna have to probably take your chances with other women, you know. Now, when I mean other women, you know, depending on people's flavor, what women they want, you could try that. But like I said, as long as you operate in this Western world, you're dealing with a modern woman here, born and raised here. She's going to have this mindset, this mentality. You get me? And
Right.
She's very heavily influenced through media and propaganda. You get me? A lot of women feel that they should be basketball wives or housewives in Atlanta and want to live that type of illusion. Hell, some of them think that they're rocking out culture and taking and spending money, but they only make like maybe under 50K. So when we look at it, is women want the illusion to have the best, live the best, but they're not really the best when it comes to, you know, meeting a man. And here's the funny thing about talking about this. I've heard, this is rumor, that now they try and learn from other institutional women to try to fake it to make it. Meaning by this, that how can I swindle or persuade the opposite sex, so I can get the real thing out of him. So that way, once I'm really set good, I can cut ties, like the woman that you showed on today's stream, Culture Collision. And I think most women, because they have so many options, they've gone weary to things that will benefit them. They're not really thinking about anything long term. They're not thinking about actual families. Hell, they're not even thinking about the children, if we want to go even deeper in this. Because imagine you have kids with these type of women. You're putting yourself at risk. You get me? Because now saying we have problems in our community that's constantly cycles. And we all know that most of these boys and girls that develop inadequate is, because they're not really getting further access to their fathers, if need be. I mean, if you look at most of them that's in jail, you hear their stories, said they really never had their father around. Some of them, what they do is because of this. So, that's the only thing I can lay out.
Okay, excellent. Ty, if you had to more or less guesstimate, what percentage of women do you feel like, based on love after betrayal, actually exhibit these traits? What percentage of the women would you say actually exhibit the traits of Brittnay Renner from the men that have been impacted by love after betrayal?
Well, we would think that it's a high percentage, because there's a lot of men who are experiencing this. At the height, when things were at the height of my call volume, I would probably do 100 calls a month. Now these are guys who are going through situations where they may be experiencing with a woman who has these, bipolar or personality disorders. But it could simply be just a man who's just not holding his own, and when that happens, the woman starts to exhibit certain personality behaviors that is her attempts to get that man to improve himself or to get that man to be what she wants him to be, So I think the percentage is low. I think the percentage is less than 10% of women. I think the culture is injects a lot of this in women, so they may be exhibiting some of the traits and behaviors of these disorders, but they don't necessarily have the disorder. I think this is a part of the culture that women are being told what they should get, what they should want. Social media is not doing any favors for these women, and social media is really a woman's playground anyway. You know, most of women are the ones who are putting out most of the content on social media, like Instagram, especially the visual content. A lot of the memes, you know, these are coming from women, and these women are starting to believe, because they're not being. If you think about the fact that we have a lack of men in our community, in the black community, it's a lack of men in our community, which means that it's not only. It doesn't only mean that the boys aren't being raised to be men and they're not understanding these things. It also means that the girls aren't raised to be women. Right? But how can they be raised to be women when they don't see how a woman is in relation to with being with a man? You know, they only see their mom trying to juggle both things, trying to be a woman and trying to be a man at the same time by keeping the roof over their head. You know, so they don't really become women, and so they're out here just doing what they see their friends do. They're being raised by each other. It's a blind leading a blind situation. You know, and they're being raised by these memes and popular culture and things like that. If you ever had a conversation with a young person these days and you really have a discussion with them about something that is prevalent in society today, you realize that their points, it doesn't really go far. You know, you try to drill down what they really believe, and it's going to be based on what they read on a social media platform. You know, kids today don't really do the research they need to do. They're living based on what they see, and a lot of times they're not even living on their own experiences. You know, they're living on what they're reading from these memes or these popular influencers. And when you think about it, social media influencers they have no real credential. You know, they could just be entertaining. That's all it really takes in order for you to start to influence a large group of people, which is the reason why shows like this are important. You know, Kosher Clinician is an actual therapist, a licensed therapist, right? So you can't say stuff without being backed by something, without it being backed by some knowledge, some research or some data, because that's your profession, right? When a lot of these other people, they are here spitting stuff because they're popular or they're beautiful, they're good to look at, they're nice to look at, so people are going to start to listen to them. And this is the problem that we're having when it comes to a lot of our women, which is the reason why it's important for our men. If our men were improved, this cannot happen. This cannot happen unless our men are allowing it. We cannot allow ourselves to fall to just a pretty face, because a good portion of the women in society are pretty. 100% of them have vaginas. There is no reason for us to start falling in line with women who are going to rake us through the coals, right? That is the man's fault. That is the man's fault. If any man came to me and said, yeah, she did this to me, she did that to me, what am I going to say to him? Yo, we going to go beat her up? No, bro. How you let that happen? Right. How you allowing that to happen? You know what I mean? I'm going to talk to that man and improve him, because he's the one who's allowing this stuff to happen. We are the ones who will control all these relationships. A relationship don't happen unless we allow it to happen. So that's the reason why I focus on the men. The women are going to do these things if the opportunity is there. Just like the brother said, if it's a ham sandwich, they're going to take a bite out of it.
Well, they're taking a major bite of that ham sandwich, man, and it's unfortunate. It's highly unfortunate. To any other guy that's been impacted by the negative impact of relationships and dating in this modern culture that we live in that is very narcissistic, please hit the link, come in, share your story. If not, we're going to end the show in a few minutes, but I wanted to do this show because I'm sure there were some guys that have been impacted by narcissistic personality traits or even borderline personality disorders. And, you know, there's an old saying that says that the gateway to the soul is through the eyes. And you can see in Brittnay Renner's eyes that something's going on that's not stable. And I'm sure you guys have been in those type of relationships. I think my man Roger said the same thing. Roger, your voice is very peculiar. You seem like you're from the islands. I don't know if you're from Africa or Ghana or from...
Yeah, so my parents are from Panama. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. My parents are from Panama, so I lived there for 14 years. So you hear an accent. Spanish is my first language. English is my second.
Gotcha.
And I just wanted to add to that again in regards to those females, because I mean this is a good topic. And again, sometimes you sit home and you get bored and you start going back in your life. People things you did. And as I saw this topic, again, I have not ran into too many women. If I were to put them in a scale to 1 to 100, 98% of the women that I've ever met, either just friends or just intimately with, most of them claim and say they were raped. Some of them were questionable. I mean, this is just most of them.
Right.
Most of them, I don't run into their houses. And because I do this, it's like I've seen this too many times. If you go into the medicine cabinet, you're going to find something. It's just very weird that you're not going to find something. And again, you have to realize, as soon as these females are lied to from dusk till dawn, they live in a fairy tale world. Most of them, especially the prettier they are, the more in La La Land they are.
Right.
The prettier they are, they just have this, that the world revolves around them, and you got to do this for me. Because again, this is how, like the gentleman said here, the men that she had been with allow this to happen. So this is all she, again, you give her an inch, they take a whole yard. Once she takes the yard, she's not going to give it back. She's not giving it back. She already took it. So, again, this is just what they do. And again, just like the gentleman said, it's never the female's fault. It's never the female fault. Now, I got married. I'm 35 now. I got married when I was 22. I didn't know no better. Again, I'm single mama raised, so I didn't know no better. So I got married. And again, when I told you this woman took me, and she was older than me. I was 22. She was 29. She was running circles around me. Boy, she was Usain Bolt. And I didn't know what happened. So again, as I look back through, the whole time of marriage, I looked at myself and I got so disappointed in myself. I'm like, man, I let this heifer run all through me. She ran all through me. And again, I can't blame her. I just let it happen. I let it happen. I did not see anything wrong with what she was doing. You know what I mean? I just didn't see it. And again, this comes from being raised by a female. So, when you're raised by a female, you're taught to tolerate a lot of shit. They're just females. You just tolerate.
Right. That's true.
So that's what I was doing. Again, going back to PJ, and I have a question for you, Mr. Culture Clincher.
Yes, sir.
Now, PJ, and this is good. Maybe I need to ask Mr. Palmer, because this is one of the situations you got to ask yourself. I'm stuck with this heifer for 18 years. It ain't gonna get no better for PJ from here on out. It's gonna get worse. She's gonna just keep doing stuff over for attention. My question to you is, would he be wrong if he just said, you know what, man? Let me go ahead and wash my hand off this broad and never leave her alone and forget that kid. Would he be wrong if he did that?
That's a good question. It depends on, it's funny you asked that, because I know one of my friends, Dennis Sperling, actually says if the woman's not cooperative, just cut, her and the kid off. I would say, if she's not going to give him parental rights and allow him to at least have 50% custody of that child at all times, it could be argued for the sake of his mental health to just more or less pay what's needed to be paid to do child support. And unfortunately, he might have to X himself out temporarily because she's going to take him through the loop and do the ringers. And sometimes those women use those children as ploys or more or less tokens to always have access in the man's life. So, yeah, so if he decides, I probably wouldn't do it, but if he decided to do it, I wouldn't be mad at him for doing it, because at the end of the day, you got to protect your mental health. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, man, there's no way in hell I could do this with this woman. It's just like, there's no way. She is in self-destruct mode, and she's not taking any prisoners. It doesn't get any good for him after this. Again, like you said, he's young, he's in the NBA, so I know a lot of people in his ear making fun of him, calling him stupid and all types of bullying he's suffering. So, oh man, if I was him, I'll wash my hands and move on. There's no way in hell. Especially after she don't say that she tricked me. She don't gave me all type of justification to make it up in my mind. I'm like, shoot, that's your baby. Bye.
And Roger, it's unfortunate, man, because you're correct. A lot of times, men that are raised in families by single moms, unless that mother was more or less under the guidance of strong masculine men, where she was taught to honor traditional masculinity, they tend to think like the mom would think as it relates to her feelings, like, oh, forgive her, be understanding. And so they always go back to that default mechanism, which is to more or less do things based on the feelings of a woman instead of doing things based on the principles of being a man. And so a lot of guys get caught up in that negative cycle where they're trying to listen to what mom said, to the point strong masculine fathers will teach their sons virtues and principles. And a masculine father might tell that his son, listen, if she does not honor you and respect you, pay your child support, leave the kid alone. Because technically that's that man's child, that's his seed. And you know, that's what a lot of men don't get. The man's seed determines the sex of the child. The woman is just an incubator. Her genetics is part of it, but the man's seed determines the sex of a child. And it's unfortunate, man, but it happens a lot. Chaos Ring, I know you're listening, brother. What would you do in a situation if you got with a woman that had a baby like Brittnay Renner? Would you absolve yourself from the child, or would you more or less still stay in the child's life? And then Ty, I want you to talk about it too. And to the other guys that are listening, please share the content. To the 14 that are watching, share the content. Once you share it, hit 1. But also donate to Cash Out $7 Smalls. And also, hit the super chat. It will be greatly appreciated. You know, I love what I'm doing. I love empowering the brotherhood. And as a licensed therapist, these shows are very time consuming. So Chaos Ring, what's your take? Would you stay in the life of the child, or would you more or less absolve yourself of that responsibility?
That's a very tough question to answer. Because I don't want, as a man myself, don't put myself in any situation like that. But let's say if it does happen, then the decision, like always, is like a person that shows their true colors like that. I have to wash my hands, unfortunately. And like always, if the boy does come of age and he really is adequate and wants to see me, he could do so. And I will tell him the honest truth. That's how I would move, to be fair, honest, in answering that question. Because let's be fair, honest. We all know that with children and how these women are thinking, they're thinking in regards to that, how they want to control their children and play daddy and mommy in the relationship. And that's a choice at the end of the day. So with that, you're going to program your son to, I guess, to be either two things, a husband, son, or some as a meal ticket to get you out of your little situation as a parent. And I'm going to say this because I was listening to another stream, and they talk about children, especially boys, leaving middle school, or actually elementary school, sorry. And they asked them, and this is in another state, what they want to inspire to be. Some of them children in the same state inspired to be rappers, athletes, entertainers. They don't inspire for anything that is a typical job that is more stable, and some that is just as high demand as everything else. And I'm thinking, why would a child think like that? Because in their minds, that their parents was mostly raised by one parent, they need to come up and get rich just to, I guess, support their mothers, you know? And this is what I'm thinking, you know? So they're not inspiring anything that's logical, that everybody that makes just good money instead trying to jump for the 1%. So how I look at it is that, like a man, I have to wash my hands. Now,
Right.
could I co-parent? I could, but here's the trick. If you have an ungrateful woman like her that's going to fight you tooth and nail with the same system put in place, it makes more, is it really makes sense? You get me? Because as a man, you got to move on your own path and your own destiny, whether you have a plan or not. And investing more time of your resource and time just to fight back with someone that's ungrateful, and it's going to make it hard for you to, let's say, if the case may be co-parent, it's not worth it. And a lot of dudes will tell you personally that they don't want to co-parent. It is, you be in my program or it's nothing. And a lot of women don't want to hear that, but that's how men move it. You get me? Why you sit there and then you feel if you're married and you want to cut ties to whoever, reconcile differences, because that's why most divorces composed of. Now you want to still get the resource and do what you want. That's not how things work. Men are very territorial. You get me? Once you accept this ring, we in this for long haul. You get me? And most marriages now in America don't even last a decade now. They're lasting under, from what they said from the data, under 5 years. From when we talk about black people, I know it's less than that. It was 5 years, now is the average 5 years. We know we're not even surviving past 2 years if marriage is put in the equation when it comes to us. So, like I said, men go out the way, like I said, evaluate everything you're doing here in this West region we call America. That's all.
Vaughn Bryan says, I'm sorry to end the conversation so late, gents, but my question is, are we talking about a biological child or a child that's not biologically yours? I would say that I think what Roger is saying is both. What's your take on that, Roger? And Ty, I want you to add to the conversation what Roger was saying. What's your take on that?
Again, you got to. I read a book by Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil, and something that is in the book said it kind of caught my attention. And he said this: "Tell me what a person loves, and show me what they fear, and I'll show you how to destroy that person." Mm-hmm. And this is the thing with most in a situation. Let's use this situation with Brittnay Renner. One thing she knows, or because he's young, PJ's young, she knows he got an attachment to this child no matter how it came into being, whether she tricked him or whether, he thought it was love, but she knows he's attached to the child. The only reason why all her employees are working is because he still cares for the child. She can maneuver there. Again, women, we're all opportunists. If I believe I could take advantage of you through this child, then it's going to happen. And it's going to happen more than not. PJ, again, he's a young man. I don't know he's going to go through, I'm going to try to do the right thing. That's my child, yada, yada, yada. But you just have to just look. I mean, the writing is on the wall. And I know he's going to try because me personally, I don't believe most men are douchebags. I don't. I think men generally will try to do the right thing. That's what I believe. As many people think that, we just losers and we don't try to do the right thing. I think all men are going to do the right thing. And he's going to try. But the juice ain't worth the squeeze. It's just not. And you have to be practical and logical sometimes. PJ is what, in his 20s? His penis still work. His penis still work. It's not like that was the last one. He could still go out here and, again, 20, I'm 35 and I'm thinking like, damn, I'm still young. If somebody could communicate to PJ that, hey, man, this ain't nothing. This ain't nothing. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing. But I think he's going to go for the ringer for a little while just because that's just what most men just choose to do. And I hope it turns out good for him. I don't think it is because I don't think he has good guidance around him, clearly, because he got caught up like this. I think it just gets worse from him, but just wash your hands. Wash your hands. I mean, the worst that's going to happen, this is the worst. Somebody's going to call you a deadbeat. That's the worst that could possibly happen.
That's the worst that can possibly happen. And these shows are so necessary. Some of the women that actually listen to this platform don't understand that primarily this is a men's channel that seeks to empower men. This is a virtual barbershop where men share their ideas. We're talking just as if we're in a synthetic barbershop, minus the excessive language. But we have these conversations because to the women that want good men, they have to listen to understand that how men think. Some women come in these circles as chameleons, but some women really want to learn and listen. And so if you want a good man, you have to understand why men are feeling the way that they feel. Do you have to agree with those men? No, you don't have to agree with men. But it's important to listen to what the men are saying as it relates to relationships. Men that are impacted in relationships with a woman leave them. Many men are more or less at risk of suicide because when men fall in love, they literally fall. Because men by nature are not creatures that actually emit love. Men do things based on principle. So when they give their heart to a woman, it's at where he's most vulnerable. No different than when a woman is pregnant, she's most vulnerable because she's carrying his seed. Todd, based on what the brother is saying, what's your take on the Brittnay Renner fiasco? Would you more or less, how can I say it, in a situation like that, get rid of your child, or what would you do in a situation like that?
So I'm always from the standpoint of putting myself first, right? If I go down, I can't do nothing for that child, you know. So if I'm in a situation with a mother and she's using the child to bring me down, hurt me, depress me, stress me out, I will have to walk away, you know, because the reason why I put myself first is because just like this young man, you have a value, right? You're given to humanity. If you allow for these things to continue to plague your mind, you're not going to be productive in society, right? And the reason why he has the money is because he's a valuable individual for society. He's given value. Money is an exchange of value. So if I'm unable to give the value to humanity, I start losing money, which means I can't feed myself. I can't feed that child. All the stuff she's trying to give me, it wouldn't matter, you know. So if I see a woman who's trying to play these games, I take my ball and I walk away. I go home, you know. I can't do it, and this is something I would tell my son, you know, and this is something I would tell if that child is, you know, if that child is of age or whatever age the child is now. I believe it's a baby. The thing is, you have to understand the way biology works is that men aren't attached to the child anyway. Men aren't attached to children when they first come out the womb. It's not, nature didn't make us that way. Nature made the women that way because the child is attached to the woman. She has to take care of that child, put it up against her body. She has feeding apparatus on her chest to feed that child. She's the primary caregiver to that child at that age, and the man protects her to make sure that she can care for that child. If she's turning against that man and she's becoming an enemy to that man, then that in nature, that man is supposed to walk away from her and let nature take its path on her. Mm-hmm. That's the way it's supposed to be. When you have women who are trying to hurt the man, using the child to hurt the man, then that man should be able to walk away, right? Anyone who is saying otherwise is trying to shame that man, trying to belittle that man, or trying to make him feel like he should. No man should be, because we wouldn't tell a woman to do that. We wouldn't tell a woman to throw herself down because the man is telling her to do so or trying to play around. We only do that to men. And this is only coming from our people who are telling us to do these things, right? Because our community, the Black community, is a matriarchy. It's the women who are in control. They're the ones who are telling us to do things. And a lot of us men who are raised by single mothers, we look towards the women for what they want and what they need, because even if there was a man around, that woman is good at manipulating the feelings of other people by crying and showing that she's sad and hurt and things like that. And so we come to her rescue, even as a young boy. A young boy is going to come to his mom's rescue. If his dad makes her cry, he's going to come, "Mommy, what's going on? Daddy, what you do?" You know, it's going to be one of those situations, which is the reason why that's what women are going to do, because women are going to put themselves first, even at the hands of their own kid. If she's playing these games with the child, what does that mean? That means that she's taking a father away from this child. Right. And if it's a boy, you don't think that boy wants to be what his dad is? A professional athlete? What is she going to teach him to be? What is she going to give to that child? If she is successful in pushing this man away from this child's life, what is she going to teach that boy to become? If the man is in a child's life, the boy will become something, right? Because even if he doesn't become an athlete, he'll learn the discipline. He'll learn it's in order for you to make it to be a professional athlete, you have to beat all the kids across America who are playing at the basketball court. You have to beat those kids out, which means you have to have discipline, drive, focus, determination. Those are traits of a man, right? That's what the father is going to teach that kid. I will not allow for a woman to bring me down or take the kid away from me. I will take my ball and walk away. That's what I would do.
Yeah, and these conversations are so important. I like what I think Bruce Leroy was saying that PJ is not a victim. Right, we know that PJ is not a victim, Bruce Leroy. Thank you, brother. But I think what Ty is saying is that even though PJ Washington is complicit in his own demise, men still don't have options. We still don't have the option to either stay in the relationship or leave it whenever we get a woman pregnant. And so I think that's what the biggest issue is. Vaughn Bryan said, "I don't believe this concept, gentlemen. A man should always face and deal with his responsibilities. Figure it out. That's why so many of us grow up without fathers." What's your take on that, Ty and Roger and Chaos Ring? And also, guys, hold tight. I want to send thank you, Tim. Love you, brother. You are on it, man. Thank you for moderating, man. I love it. Thank you for being moderating for me and Black Ram today, man. I really appreciate your help. I appreciate your time, and these topics are important. And so I do these shows because a lot of men are actually suffering in silence. They don't have the proper wherewithal to deal with these, psychopathologies of a lot of modern women. And so thank you, Tim, once again. And to the ones that have not donated, please donate to Cash App $7Smalls. And also hit the super chat, as these shows are very time consuming, as I'm a licensed therapist. But Chaos Reign, Roger and Ty, what's your take on what Brian said about the man should stay?
Now, in regards to, I agree with everything that gentleman is saying, first of all. And maybe I didn't lead with that. And maybe it wasn't said. But I think, yes, PJ should have given an effort. I don't think that he's not going to give it an effort. I think that most men who walk away from their children, they don't walk away until they feel that everything has been done. They tried everything under the sun. And whenever a man gets to the point that he walks away, we are all men here who are listening. Men don't walk away easy. We don't. We try. We're going to give it a hell of a try. We're going to try, especially when it comes to your kids. You're going to try. But eventually, you start seeing that this is an uphill battle that you cannot win. You cannot win. I hate when people make it seem like, fight for your kids is not easy as everybody makes it out to be. Brittnay Renner just got online and told everybody that, a man could have my baby and I'm going to be cool with it. PJ could bring that evidence to the court and she will still get custody.
Right.
She will still get it.
Right.
So, gentlemen, that is the problem. I'm not disparaging that man who said that. You should try to fight for your children. But here's the thing. Women know that. They know most men are programmed like that, gentlemen. That no matter what I do, I know this goofy is going to put up with it.
That's true.
His mama told him to do that.
That is so true.
She knows that. And again, tell me what a person loves and show me what they fear, and I could tell you how to destroy them in 90 days. Because you got them on both ends. You got them on both ends. There's no way that person could run. Mm-hmm. So, hey, I get it. And I will never advocate. I will never, and I'm pretty sure every man here, I will never advocate that, hey, screw your kids and walk away from me. I will never advocate that. What I will tell you is do everything that's within reason. Do everything that's within reason to get your child. But whenever the scale begins to tip and it's costing you more than you're giving, abort mission, walk away.
No, I totally agree with that. I believe a man must protect his mental sanity at all costs. And shout out to my man, Bruce Leroy. Thank you, brother, for the generous super chat of $9. I'm grateful that you decided to donate to the channel. I love what I do. I love empowering the brotherhood. But I like something Miss Parker said. Miss Parker, I would love for you to come in the channel and more or less share your position as a woman, because you sound like a very sane and very reasonable woman. My son is dealing with a combative woman and always threatens to leave and take the baby away. And he's trying to do the right thing. I'm like, no, son, you have to take care of yourself first. And I agree with that. Yeah, and I agree with what Roger said. Many men have been conditioned to more or less subjugate themselves to bad behavior. As part of it, guys, as part of our internal hard drive, men by nature are doers. The woman is being, the masculine is doing. And so it's in our nature to assist and help. But we have to learn to recondition ourselves to more or less to go do away with that kind of thinking, where we're more or less subjugating ourselves to behaviors that don't benefit us. So, Ms. Parker, if you are listening, please come click into the link. Tim, put the link down, brother. I appreciate it. And allow Ms. Parker to come in and share her point from a woman's perspective, because we need to hear what women are saying, and let's have a civil dialogue. But, Tom, what's your take on that based on what was actually said?
Yeah. So Mr. Brian, he said that he doesn't agree. He thinks that men should fight, and like Roger said, no, for the most part, especially black men, especially black men who wasn't raised by their fathers. We are the men. Every friend of mine who has a kid, we go above and beyond to be a father because we miss the father that we didn't have in our life. And almost is if you say, you know, the father wasn't in the picture, the number one reason is because he's a deadbeat. But that's not always the reason, right? If it's coming from the mouth of the mother, and we know that it's very difficult for women to be accountable, right? It's just in their nature to not be accountable. So what is she going to say? She's going to place all the blame on that man. This is the reason why. And men aren't trying to fact check women. Men aren't going around to try to clean up the lies and things that women say. They're just going to keep moving forward with their lives, right? So they're not going out to try to clean this up. So this is what's being communicated. The men of our generation, we have kids. If a woman is trying to pull the kid away from us, we're going to do everything in our power to try to be that father. But similar to what Coach Clinician said, she's going to use that to her advantage. She's going to use that. She's going to use that carrot and stick, you know, to keep you dangling and trying to chase. And if you're not secure in who you are, you will keep chasing. Similar to take the kid out the picture. Take the kid out of the picture and let's just talk about a regular relationship. If she can play with her affection, she can give you some when she wants to, kiss you when she want to kiss you, hug you when she want to kiss you, then pull away from you, then ask you to do stuff. If she could play you in that way, she's going to do the same thing when it comes to a kid. And if you're the man who keeps going back and forth and chasing after her, how can you succeed in this world if that's what's happening in your everyday life? You know how, you know, if a mother is taking a kid away from a man, there isn't a bigger problem in that man's life in that time. That is the biggest problem that man is dealing with on a day-to-day basis because his emotions are being affected, his money is being affected, his reputation is being affected. He feel like his legacy is being affected. He feel like that woman is putting his kid around bad people. She's so, you know, all these things are happening in one situation, and he can't do anything to her. He can't hurt her. He can't harm her. If a man was doing that, he would hurt that man. He can't hurt the woman, right? He can't do anything. The system is on her side. She could say whatever she wants. She could lie. And like I said, I've spoken to over 1,000 men, and I'm not exaggerating. All right. I've been doing this for over a year. I spoke to over 1,000 men these situations. These men are getting very negative things are happening. And when they go to the court system, they can lie. It doesn't take much they don't need much evidence. You know, when they go to the court, the judge, and when it comes to child support, it's not a real judge, right? It's a magistrate. When they're in front of that magistrate, if you've ever been in one of those courts, you will see how that man or that individual behind that pulpit talks to the woman and how he talks to the man. It is completely different energy because the child support system makes money when they take those checks. They're making money. They don't care about the child. It shouldn't even be called child support. It should be called by its actual name, which is Title 4D of the Social Security Administrative Act. It shouldn't be called child support. We call it child support now. You're making it seem like you're a bad man because you're not paying your child support. It's a racket. It is a racket. And we as black men are being harmed by it, by women who are out of control. They're not under male guidance. They're not under the guidance of their fathers. They're not under the guidance of their husbands. They're not under the guidance of men at all. They're under each other's guidance. And that chaos is spilling over to us. And if we allow that to spill over to us, we're going to be unproductive men. And how can we succeed in this society where the country is being hostile towards us if we're going to situations where our women are being hostile towards us? How can we survive in that? We're doomed. So yes, I'm going to try everything I can to fix the situation with my child. But if she's making it difficult, if she's making it difficult for me, I'm taking my ball and I'm walking away.
No doubt. I respect that. Chaos reign. It appears that many modern women in this society, regardless of ethnic background, are actually recipients of chaos, and chaos more or less reigns within their psyche. If you were in a precarious situation like PJ Washington, what would you do? Are you there, brother? All right, so it appears the chaos ring might be occupied. To any other man that's been more or less impacted by women similar to Brittnay Renner, as many are actually going down the rabbit hole, come on, join the link. Let's have a discussion. And I'm grateful to the people they have already more or less donated to the super chat. And so any other person has been more or less been impacted, like PJ Washington, let's join the discussion because a lot of men are dealing with women that have been more or less damaged or more or less impacted. And I did a show about last week talking about shadow point, how many women that have been through trauma actually develop depersonalization and the realization, which actually a lot of times leads to dissociative personality disorders. And those personality disorders can be very aggressive, and a lot of it's due to trauma. And so in order for the psyche to heal itself, it develops something called alters. Alters is similar to alternative personality. So the alters is like a ego defense mechanism that protects the mind from the trauma impacted. So a lot of times people that develop split personality disorders, they actually experience derealization with psychotic features or depersonalization as well. So to any other guy that have more or less been impacted, what's your take on the Brittnay Renner situation? And do you feel that the modern American woman have more or less gone down the rabbit hole?
In regards to the rap, like I said to you yesterday, it's a wrap. The scale has gone too far in the other direction. It's just this display of Brittnay Renner again. This is not the rule. This is not the exception. It's the rule.
It's the rule, right? Just, in many cases, I agree, Roger. Unfortunately,
this is just what it is, and just to think that you could do something about it, like the gentleman Ty said, all you could do is fix yourself. You can't do nothing about these women. There is a wrap. And again, once you fix yourself, I believe that you're going to see things change around you. Once you start working on yourself, because to go here and talking to these females it's a waste of time. Mm-hmm. Like the gentleman said here, the reason why they do what they do is because we allow it. Right. And I have allowed a lot of nonsense in the past. I don't allow as much as I did, but nevertheless, it's never like I got it and it's always a learning process and moving. But yeah, the modern day woman is done. They're done. Like again, I'm just speaking from my experience only. And it's just to think about it is really sad. I can't tell you how many rape stories I've heard. I can't tell you. Right. I just cannot tell you how many I've heard. And I'm just personally telling you. Now, I always question like, it's always rape when there wasn't a relationship, but that's neither here nor there. Rape is rape. You're telling me that's what happened. And it can't be a coincidence if I'm hearing it 5 times. It just can't be. You know what I mean? And I remember, I'm just thinking one lady clearly, she was in 3 psychoactive medications.
Right.
And she was 23. And, I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole. I don't want to get no triggers. And then she, I just did. And this is what most people are running into. I'm telling you guys, go to the girl's medicine cabinet. She's on something.
No, I agree, Roger. You're correct, man. There's so much undiagnosed mental illness. And here's the quandary. It's not only women that are getting raped. There are a lot of boys that have been molested and raped too. We tend to minimize the impact of boys in relationships. We tend to minimize that many black men have been traumatized through rape or molestation as well. I tell people that trauma is not genderless. It's something that can occur more or less to any person. And so just like we must more or less have the clarion call as it relates to some of our women, we must also have the clarion call as it relates to our men. Shout out to Omega Male Revelations, brother. Thank you for the $10 super chat. I would try to get full custody and stay away from Brittnay, and every contact with child would be supervised because Brittnay would go down to the depths of hell to make PJ look bad. And I totally agree with you, Omega Male Revolutions. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate the super chat. You're 100% correct. A lot of these women are unstable because they've never really seen true masculine authority in the families. And, unfortunately, when I traveled to Brazil, you saw strong patriarchal males where the men actually ruled their homes. But it's unfortunate because a lot of women haven't seen it, and neither have the boys seen it, because if the boys actually saw it, they would know how to garner the respect that they deserve. Ty, Roger said he feel like it's the inevitable is on the wall, that similar to in the book of Daniel, when the Chaldeans, Daniel the prophet said, wrote on the wall, and he was telling the Chaldeans that judgment is coming. Is it too late for most modern women in America? And what's your take on the prognostication going forward? How many generations will it take for us to get back to a state of positivity?
Well, the way things are going, like you said, things are going too far to to the left. So it is going to take some time. I don't see it coming back yet. I still see women are pushing in that realm, but it can't go that way for long because you're going to have a huge amount of women who are going to die alone, right? Men aren't going to put up with certain stuff for too long. A person like who's young and beautiful, men are gonna put up with that. There are always going to be some man who's going to put up with it. There's always going to be a man who's going to fall for the trap of the beauty. But as these women get older, the men aren't checking for them anymore. Even though the men their age aren't checking for them anymore. And these women, they start to get to the point where no one really wants them. No one wants to be around. Men want peace, right? Men want peace. And as we get older, and we work hard. We work hard to get the world, especially if you're a black man. If you're a black man in America and you making something of yourself, right? If you're not making just 20 grand a year, you making 50, 75, 80, 100 grand a year, whatever the case, you made it as a black man in America, right? And you made it to that point, you're not going to purposely add chaos to your life. You've already worked through chaos to get to that point. Why would you allow a woman in your life who's going to be damaged and hurtful and demeaning? You would not be able to succeed. You would not be able to maintain success if you went home to that, right? So these women who are like this, they haven't been raised by men. They don't realize, women like this, they don't realize the value of having a man beyond the provisions, right? They don't realize what a man brings to a woman's life, to a family's life, to a child's life. This is the reason why they can do things like this. They don't realize that they're nailing their own coffin. They're shooting themselves in their own foot. What's going to end up happening is you're going to have certain of women who are going to go. They're going to be miserable.
So I think your connection is breaking up, brother. Sorry, we can't hear you, brother. Your connection is breaking up. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. So these younger women are going to start realizing, I don't want to be like my mom. I don't want to be like my aunts. I'm not going to make the mistakes that they made. And hopefully they find a man who's wise enough. Me personally, I only date younger women, right? And every woman that I'm dating, if she asks me about relationships, I try to school her to the game about what it really is, how it really is, how men see women, how we judge you, how we pair with you, how we decide if we want to be in a relationship with you or not. All of the stuff that these women are learning from these rappers and stuff like that. These are things that are hurting them. They're using these behaviors, and all they can get is men who are low-level men who just want to have sex with them, right? And that's all you're going to be able to get. And if you continue to have sex with these low-level men, what ends up happening is you're molded to that type of behavior. So if you get with a man who is of higher caliber, he could just be a regular working guy. He could just be a blue-collar guy who's responsible, take care of his bills. That right there in itself, right? These women are trying to go after these big-time celebrities and all that stuff. If you have a working, regular, blue-collar man who's taking care of his bills, who manages his home, that's a come up from knuckleheads who just want to have sex with you. You get a man like that, but you're used to dealing with these low-life men. When you get a disagreement with that man, how are you going to react? You're going to react the same way you do when you with those low-level men. You're going to be talking out of your mouth. You make it physical. You're going to be doing the things that these men do. That man is not going to be able to tolerate that. If he's securing himself, he's going to drop you, because he's not going to bring that into his life. And so what's going to end up happening is a lot more women are going to be single. And then you're going to start having movies and music coming out about these women's lives as they start having these bad lives. And then it's going to start to change. You're going to start seeing stories where men are going to talk about how they feel. It's going to be in popular media. Right now, everything is power for the women. That's going to start to die down eventually. You can have so much of that, right? That's going to start dying down eventually. And then you're going to start having the men's side of things. And when you start having the men's side of things, you're going to realize that men don't want to hurt women. Men don't want to hurt women, even though the women are talking about how they've been hurt. And yeah, of course that happened. Of course there are men who are doing things like that, but that's not, in general, that's not what men want to do. When you start hearing the stories about the men, that's when things are going to start swinging back in the other way. you know, and eventually it's going to swing back to the negative where it's too masculine, right? It's too much on the masculine. That's the reason why we got here, because it at one point it went too far to the masculine side. So it's a pendulum. You know, I don't know when it's going to swing back, but it has to eventually.
Well, I don't see it swinging back. It'll take a total de-evolution. I think the culture is too far gone, unfortunately. And I would do what I tell most men that are single to save themselves. And I would tell the women that want to do the right thing to try to get with other women that think like them, that want to, you know, have healthy, strong families. But unfortunately, with us over 73% children being born out of wedlock, children are the recipients of the growth and the knowledge that their parents give them. And unfortunately, we live in a time now where most kids have not seen stable families. As Chaos Ring said, you know, you're lucky if you find a couple that's been married for 10 years. You're lucky to find that. And it's unfortunate. A male revelation said, a lot of men put up with it, but decent men are either walking away or abstaining. And the most significant thing is most men are silent about it, so there is no evidence until it's reality. And so I agree, male revelations. I totally agree 100%. There are a lot of men that are actually walking away, or they are abstaining, or they're looking for love from countries where the women are traditional and where they've more or less been taught to more or less honor and respect men. Now listen, guys, thank God for Brother Tim Howard. Tim Howard always come through. And if you like what I'm doing, please donate to Cash App $7 Smalls. If you don't have any money, which is okay, please share this content with at least 25 people. I want every guy, before we end this show, we're going to end in a few minutes unless someone wants to come up and share their story. Please share this content with at least 5 people. Once you share the content, hit the 1 button. And then also there are some guys that need help mentally. And for non-diagnostic consultations, please email me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com for non-diagnostic consultations. And we're going to have more or less a powerful impact on helping men get over the pathologies that they're dealing with. So email me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. I am not giving you a clinical diagnosis. I will not be diagnosing you, because if I diagnose you, then you will have to get psychoactive drugs or any other form of medication, benzodiazepines, to deal with your pathology. But I can give you parameters around what I think you're dealing with, and I can give you practical information, do the red pill lens, and do empirical science to help you overcome whatever issue that you're dealing with. So Chaos Reign is back. And Chaos Reign, I don't know if you'll listen to the discussion, but give me your input. Go ahead, brother.
Kosher Clinician, I only reason I came back on because I had to step away because I have another show on. I jumped out on briefly because of something, but I appreciate your time having me on here. We'll do this again soon. And
all right.
Thank you, brothers. All right.
Thank you, brother. All right. Thank you, Chaos Reign. So is there anyone else that would like to pop in before we leave? Before we leave in this discussion, many like Brittnay Renner are actually going down the rabbit hole. And listen, I told you, I entitled the show Magical Thinking. And magical thinking, guys, is a byproduct of when a woman or a man feels like they have some type of internal mechanism that can change the outcome of the situation that they're dealing with. Now listen, there are many women that believe that men will always be on the man tree, and at any time, you've heard some women actually agree to what I'm saying, that they can just pull the man off the tree and get the man of their dreams. But as women get older, their options actually diminish because men are hardwired to date younger, fertile, fit, feminine women. So a lot of them are actually experiencing magical thinking, which is a byproduct of delusions of grandeur, which is a product of, in the past, a terminology that I created called a schema affliction, a schema affliction. And that schema affliction have led many women to become deaf. Kevin Samuels talked about sign language, shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. Because I'm the kosher clinician, I decided to come up with my own terminology. Deny, they become enraged, they argue, and they fight or flee due to that cognitive distortion. I got my man Hassan McMillan on. Hassan, give me your points of reference to what's going on with the Brittnay Renner fiasco. And have you been a victim of women that have more or less been complicit in mental illness that you weren't aware of, but when you went back, you said, wow, I see the mental illness now?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think that's for Brittnay Renner. She's doing what the wrestlers call they have something called heels. They have something called faces. Yes, I do. And she's playing the ultimate heel. and she knows whatever she says is going to get views because she goes way too far with what she's saying. But like the first couple of gentlemen said, even the gentleman with the hat mentioned that.
Hey, hold tight, Hassan. Guys, if you're listening to the show, please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. If you're listening to the show, please mute yourself because I can hear the feedback loop in the background. So I need you guys to, if you're listening to the show on YouTube, please mute it. Thank you. But go ahead, Hassan. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, but like I said, and the thing about it is she's not. I think if anything, I think at one point when I saw the video first start off, seemed like she was gonna apologize, but then she decided to double down and triple down on it. But my only concern comes up, like the gentleman's been talking, is the fact I've been a victim of that myself. Where I dated someone, for a few years. She was a single mom, fell madly in love with her, took care of her and the children like they were my own. And I thought if I did my best for her, like my mother and father, like my father and mother taught me, she'd appreciate it. But as time went on, she got comfortable, and she started, showing me why I couldn't stay with her. And even though she left me with somebody else, I'm looking back and made me realize it's not so much we got to just choose anybody who's right just for our loins. They got to be right for our life.
Yes, sir.
And after I learned that lesson, I do like a job interview now. I have to. Like asking questions like, "Hey, you talking to your father? Do you get along with your father?"
Right.
Because some men and women don't have their dad in their life. You have your father in your life. You see the difference when you talk to that person or persons to see where they're at. But as for Miss Renner, I think she's doing what she needs to do to get views because she knows that she's. If I'm not certain, I could be wrong, but she is striving to be hated like they do in them wrestling shows. They got one guy's the face who's a good guy, who always wins, but sometimes he loses. And you have and then you have the heel who just says outlandish stuff to get you riled up, so you'll like leave a comment on her video. I think that's what she wants. But the thing about it is, I think that young man, unfortunately, I wish he would have had some older gentleman tell him, "Hey, man, if you want to spend time with us, spend time with her, but don't wife her up, man." Because I think he fell in love with that girl. He fell in love with who he thought she was instead of who she is.
Well, he fell in love with an illusion, but
Yeah.
PJ got to take ownership for that as well because
Absolutely.
she
No
actually
doubt.
gave him all the signs that she was a loose cannon and that she would lose guys for money. Thank you, Ms. Parker, for coming on. But before Ms. Parker give her expose, Omega Male Revolution said, "I'm 32, been going to DR Columbia since I was 26. Back to DR next month. The women down here are fit, friendly, submissive. I saw black men down here not just sex these men, but they had businesses and homes." Miss Parker, thank you for coming on. I love to hear logical, cogent women like yourself give input to what's actually going on in these YouTube streets. But what's your take on the Brittnay Renner situation? And do you think most modern women actually personify traits like Brittnay Renner? And also give us a quick snapshot about your son and his whole fiasco as well. Unmute yourself, dear. Unmute yourself. There you go. Go ahead.
Okay. I am so sorry. I was having so much feedback, so I completely missed the question. I'm sorry. Could you repeat yourself, please? Thank you. I'm sorry.
So more or less, what do you think about Brittnay Renner? Do you think she's actually exhibiting a condition, what I call art imitating life, meaning she has a bona fide mental illness? And what are you telling your son to help him deal with the trauma and the stressors that he's had with some of the women that he's dated?
I am, first and foremost, Brittnay, yes, definitely. And it's unfortunate. We have really I guess what they call the Black culture, that hip hop culture generation, this show me generation. They're just out there online, exposing everything, doing everything, just wanting to be everything. This generation don't even want to be a man or woman. It becomes even more into different things like that. So definitely, I agree with you, Mr. Kosher Clinic, but Dr. Kosher Clinic. My son, I have him listen to guys like you. I have him listen to guys like Dr. BOA. I have him listen to guys like Kevin Samuels. I can only tell him how a female is, how a female displays herself, what a female is supposed to be, what a female isn't. And I can't, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how to teach him how to be a man, and no, his father isn't around. His father is on drugs, but that's a different story. But so I lean to you guys to teach him. I send him videos, you guys videos all the time. I love the Lapeef show. That's how I started watching you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, from the Lapeef show, and the other guy with the voice, the really melodious voice with the blue background.
You talking about my man Guapo?
Yes,
Guapo,
yes,
right.
yes.
Right,
So
right.
that's all that I do. But like right now, I just keep encouraging him, telling him that right now you're not where you're supposed to be. So you need to continue to just build your life to where you're supposed to be. And when you get there, everything else will come in order. Just stay on your purpose, stay focused, continue to do what you're supposed to do. I agree with you guys. I'm like, you're still young. You can still have kids. If these women want to play games and they want to come back and forth and try to, no, that's not good for you at all. And that's not good for you going forth to be a productive citizen either. And so that's my main thing. That's what I focus on.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like most modern women are done? You know, you appear to be a Gen X. What year did you graduate from high school, Ms. Parker?
99.
Oh, you're a baby.
Yeah.
But do you feel that most Gen X women are done? And what do you feel, Ms. Parker, is the evolution of the modern woman?
Oh, I think that because of content like you guys, we are seeing, and I think it's women like me, because I'm 39. So I think it's women like me that are teaching our younger generation, and our younger women are seeing like, hey, I don't want to grow up and be alone. I don't want to grow up and not get along with men. Like I have young women come to me all the time, want to talk to me on how to be more feminine, how to be more submissive, how to be more obedient. You know what I'm saying? My first thing is to go to the Bible. I'm always and forever leading people back to the Bible. Proverbs is an excellent book on to teach women how and what to do. And then go back to Deuteronomy to know your history, to know who you are. So I think as I see the women around me, they are really trying to learn. They are really trying to get the knowledge that they can to be able to be and submissive with the man, to be able to align with the man, if you say.
Right. And you know, and I believe there is a percentage, Ms. Parker, that's trying to do the right thing, that's trying to grow and learn. But also, Ms. Parker, many men feel that some are just doing it because they're afraid of being alone, or they're chameleons. What's your take on that?
Now it may be some truth to that. It may, you know, especially probably my age, because I know a lot of my friends, they are really trying to, is I guess what Kevin Samuels would say, the winter is coming, or no man's land. Like they're really trying to scoundrel up, trying to find a man to be able to be with, just to say that they have a man. But the Bible did say that in the later days that women would say, I can pay for my own clothes, I can pay for my own food. I just need to have your last name. I just want to marry you, and don't care that he has other wives. You know, I see this talk about polygyny coming around. You know, more women are being able to be open to this type of situation, this type of relationship, this type of culture. And so, but I agree. I certainly agree. It's not going to change in our lifetime. I think, you know, it's going to be, you know, the next generation that's going to get it, and then they're going to get it, you know, but we're planting the seeds now. And that's the good thing, is because they're listening. So the seeds are being planted. We may not be around to see it grow, but we're planting and watering. That's exactly what we're doing.
Well, many feel, Ms. Parker, that, you know, many are planting the seeds, but it's on fallow ground. Fallow ground means it's uncultivated ground. And so many believe that we're planting the seeds in vain. Only time will tell. Shout out to the Lapeef Network. Thank those brothers. I'm so grateful. Hopefully we'll do another show with King Talk coming up this week. And you can probably hear that bass in my voice now.
Yes.
Leo Flex. Shout out to Leo Nation. You know, you can't leave them Leos out there lingering. You know, my man Ty, he's a Leo. So what month were you born, Ms. Parker?
I'm a Sagittarius. December.
Oh, you got that sag swag. So much love. You got some fire like me. You're a fire sign. So I love my fire signs. Yes, fire signs always radiate the scene. And fire signs tend to be very philosophical too. Yes. And yes, deaf. Yeah, so deaf is a terminology that I created. Kevin Samuels came up with sign language. But as a clinical therapist, I came up with my own terminology called deaf. And so thank you, Tim. They denied the evidence. They become enraged when you present them the evidence. They accuse you, do ad hominem attacks, and they fight or they become fearful because of the evidence presented. And that often is tied to what's called a schema affliction or cognitive distortions. And so, Ms. Parker, share this content with women that think like you. I need you to share with at least 5 to 10 women, but also share with 5 to 10 men. Listen, what you're getting from me, you're not going to get from too many other content creators. You're not going to find a licensed clinical therapist that's dealing with the psychopathologies like Brittnay Renner and so many other women have. And also a lot of men that don't know how to more or less deal with women. I did a show in the past that says she only respects power and strength. When you think about Ms. Parker, the things you see in the modern woman, do you think a lot of it, Ms. Parker, is because they didn't have strong masculine fathers? What's your take on that?
Oh, definitely. I think the women that raised the younger generation didn't have strong masculine fathers either. And we are all here just kind of figuring it out. I think that was like my generation. We're just kind of figuring out. You got to remember, a lot of our parents were drug addicts. So a lot of the kids kind of raised themselves during that era, during the 80s and the 90s. And no men, no women. It was babies raising babies. Definitely.
Right. No, I totally agree. Shout out to the young conscious crab, Chris Strongheart, the young crab. What's your take on this whole Brittnay Renner fiasco? And do you feel like what you're seeing manifest in Brittnay Renner is more or less synonymous to behaviors that you actually see in the modern woman? What's your take on it, Chris Strongheart?
What's good, brother? How y'all doing tonight? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, good. Yeah, well, as far as Brittnay Renner goes, this whole situation with Brittnay Renner, man, to me, I just feel like it's a lost cause. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, because it's just like I'm seeing on both sides of the game right now. They don't believe that the fat meat is greasy. So I had to go ahead and represent. You know what I mean? I had to go ahead and let them know one time, because right now I think it's getting worse. You know what I mean? Like, this whole Brittnay Renner situation is wild. You know what I'm saying? Because she told the world exactly who she was, and he didn't believe her, right? So to me, I just feel like how do you even fall into that trap? She wrote a book on exactly how to trap NFL or athletes, basically, and you know. Man, it's just kind of was just like, nah, she playing, or nah, she lying. And it's just, you know, I don't understand the logic of how everybody is trying to tell you, like, or I guess everybody told him, hey, bro, that's not a good move. You know what I mean? But once again, it's sad right now, because what we see right now is the downfall of, we're seeing the downfall of the community. Like, it's really starting to break apart at the seams. You know what I mean? Because of what we're seeing happen in real time. And it's a shame, but like I said before, I don't really see anything that's going to bring a major change to it. So at this point, it kind of is what it is right now.
Right. To Snuggles always asks thought-provoking questions. So what does it mean to be red pill for everyone on the panel? I want to make sure I understand the meaning. What does it mean to be blue pill? So basically, blue pill conditioning is more or less to see the world for what it is, meaning you don't understand female nature, you don't understand female psychology, you're actually in a delusion, and you think that things will remain the same. Red pill means to see the world, women, or whatever for what it really is. And so there's an old terminology that says you can either love her or you can understand her, but you can't do both. And basically what it means is that you just got to understand female nature. If you become a prey to female nature, you can have a condition called self-sabotage, because if you fall in love without understanding female nature, then you will become a victim of your own peril. But if you love a woman while understanding her female nature, you become red pill, because you understand that there are pros and cons to giving your heart to a woman. So you only give her enough within the contextual framework of masculinity so that you don't be a victim of your own ignorance, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. All I'm going to say is just that, you know, red pill in general, you know, it really deals with the awakening and then the awareness of one's mind. So basically understanding the reality of the world, really. Understanding that things are not exactly as how they taught you to be. So, I mean, you know, that's really what it is.
Is that Miss Parker from Friday? Oh my goodness, that's funny. So Ms. Parker, you've been listening to the conversation. You are. I think if you're 40 or 42, you still a Gen X. You're a Gen X, right?
Well, I'm 39. I'll be 40 this year.
So I think you're a Gen X. I think. Tyler, you Gen X?
Yeah, we're the same age. I graduated in '99 as well.
Okay, so you guys are like the baby Gen X's. I'm the older Gen X. But when you look at women now, Ms. Parker, compared to when you were in high school, do you see the modern woman getting worse? Or do you feel like the modern woman has made progress? Or you feel like the modern woman, when women like you try to correct, they don't listen? And that's a loaded question. Do you feel they've gotten worse? Do you feel like they're listening? Or do you feel like, there's more hope, more or less is there hope for those modern women, in your opinion?
We have definitely gotten worse. Just in our behavior, and I think our respect for men. Like, we have no respect for men. Even as young kids, like, I hate to hear women call men the B word. Like, that just, I loathe it. I'd be livid. Like, it's just the ultimate disrespect. I can say that I don't think it's as much teen pregnancies as it is when I was younger. So we've probably grown in that aspect, but everything else we've gotten so, it's just way down. It's worse when I'm talking to people. You know what kills me is I'd be at a family gathering or a social gathering, and it'd be a mom and some daughters. And so I go over there and I'm talking to everybody, and so I'm talking to them, letting them know that, right now your youth is your virtue. This is where you take advantage. Don't waste it. Save yourself. Get aligned with a man. And the mother gets mad at me and says, no, she got to go to school. She got to do this. She got to do that. But the girls are listening to me. But the mom is like, no. And like, we are almost, I don't argue. I just walk away. But I'm like, we have gotten worse in that aspect. We really have. It's like we don't want to be aligned with a man. We don't want to do what it takes to be in a relationship. We don't want to put forth an effort to work on ourselves. Like you guys were talking about, so many women have been molested or abused, and it could be from the lack of male masculinity in the home, that protection in the home. We're not saying who's to blame, but we're just saying it could be from that, and it could not be, but there are a lot of women that are truly, truly messed up, and it's hard to take a look at yourself. That's probably the hardest things to do, is to actually take a look at yourself and to say, hey, what am I doing wrong? Where can I fix? Where can I be better? How can I improve on this? Or how can I improve on that? So if it's hard to look at you, then it's hard for somebody else to tell you, because then you're faced with looking at yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Right. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Omega Revelations. Thank you, brother, for the cash app earlier. I want you to come in and give your prognostication about the Brittnay Renner fiasco. And Omega Revelations, have you more or less been impacted by women that more or less exhibit traits like Brittnay Renner?
How you doing, brother?
How you doing, brother? Thank you.
I'm doing good. Thank you for allowing me on the show. I've been subscribed now since I seen you first on O'Shea.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All right. So now, as far as Brittnay Renner, with her situation, I felt like she, how a lot of women like to use. Am I getting the feedback?
No, you're fine, brother. Go ahead.
Okay. So now, a lot of women like to say, a lot of feminists like to say older men groom women, and it usually involves molestation. But with PJ Washington was old enough, so Brittnay Renner, she was going to him. He was in college, and he's very young. And you have to admit, when you're young, you're very ignorant to the world. You don't know much, especially about relationships. So now she dealt with many men before that. So it comes down to it. Mentally, she was old. She was older than him in age, but mentally she was very old. She knew the game, and she played him. And I feel bad for him in a way, but a man being a man to another man is kind of like, brother, you got to make better choices. But I don't know who he had as far as a support system, a mentor. Who was around him? Who raised him?
Right. You know, it's unfortunate because PJ Washington is in an intact two-parent home. That's the unfortunate thing. And so one of the things I've always said, Omega Revelations, having a two-parent dominant parent does not always garner or guarantee that the child's going to have proper outcomes. It is a greater indicator of success, but it is not the panacea. And what I mean by the panacea, it does not solve all the problems. You listen, I've seen men that are strong masculine men have daughters and they still go astray because there's so many things pulling kids in different directions now. Many become rebels because they don't know the benefits of having strong masculine parents, strong masculine fathers, and having good moms until they become prodigal sons. Look at the prodigal son. The prodigal son came from a good home and a good background, but he had to go through the mud and the mire until he came back to his senses. But however, I will say the kids tend to have more sustainable outcomes when they're in families or intact families where the moms are submissive and cooperative and the husbands are masculine and they stick to masculine principles. So, you know, PJ grew up in an intact family. I don't know if his dad was a simp. I don't know. But he did grow up in a family where there was a man. So the impact he had is to be more or less explored.
And you know, to grow on that is, I was watching a video about Lonzo Ball. No, not Lonzo Ball, but LeVar Ball, his father. And he was on a podcast, and they asked him, it's like, what if you're, you know, they were asking about the women or who their sons would marry, or the women that surrounds NBA players and athletes. LeVar Ball said himself, he said, look, most of the women, you know, when you get older, you're not going out to clubs, you're not doing nothing like that. He said, when you get older, the women you meet are going to be at the arena. The women you meet are going to be online. The women that you meet are going to know you. And with Google and smartphones, they're going to look you up. They're going to know how much your salary is and everything. He said that his sons would never marry a woman who was not a gold digger. So I agree with you with that, because Alonzo Ball, I feel like he raised his sons up right. But he said himself, they said, what are you going to do to stop your sons or protect them? He said, look, I gave them the information. And I already see these women in my house. So, you know, these certain type of women, certain type of, you know, women that are not good, they're going to prey on these men. But it's up to the man to make the best decision. Now, Brittnay Renner, like I said, as evil as she is, she knew what she was doing, and she took advantage. And that's all I got to say.
I wanted to add something in regards to the two-parent home thing that you hit on, Mr. Clinician.
Yes, sir.
And I was a big believer in that, you know, the two-parent home. And that could be, let me say that, it could be an indicator. But from what I have seen from personal experience, and when I was in college in Florida, I used to sell insurance. I used to go to, you know, people 65 and above homes, you know, people with Medicaid or whatever. And what I have noticed, even when there's two-parent households, most of the houses that I visited, usually the woman was running stuff. The man was just tolerating her.
Right.
So don't be fooled by the two-parent home.
But did you hear what I said? I said, Roger, I said, if the man is a masculine dominant man, you're correct. I did say if he's a blue pill beta male that don't stand on masculine principles, you are 100% correct. I would say a kid would probably be better off being with a single mom than having a man in the home and he's not standing on masculine principles. So you're 100% correct. But I say if the man is masculine, says what he means what he says, don't take no disrespect, stand on the square, then the kids tend to have better outcomes. The odds are higher in homes like that versus the homes where they don't have those variables in place. Nothing is 100%. A two-parent home is not, as I said earlier, the panacea. It's not the panacea. But it does give higher outcomes because you have masculine dominant men. I'm a masculine man. I don't tolerate disrespect from men, and I definitely won't tolerate it from a woman because I know what my worth is. You know, and me being a Leo, you know, I can't tolerate that because my ego is too big. But like I was saying, you know, when men stand on principles, and Ms. Parker, I want you to highlight on that in a minute. We're going to end the show in a few minutes. I'm going to circle around and let everybody get closing comments. But Ms. Parker, you're a woman, and you correct me if I'm wrong. Women only respect power and strength. What's your take on that? And before you respond, Red Pill Brother said Brittany can't pair bond due to having so many partners. She has a lot of DNA from other men. And you're correct, Red Pill Brothers. And guys, I want you guys to highlight on that as well. But Miss Parker, give me your input from that. And we're going to sign off in a few minutes.
Yes, definitely. I'm sorry. I was reading what he had said. Did you want me to answer your question or on what he was talking about?
Whatever order, dear, that you want to answer, then you can do it. Whatever order.
Definitely, a lot of women do not understand and realize how DNA is contracted through intercourse and all the spirits that you are collecting. It is affecting you. It is affecting your mind. It's affecting your body. It's affecting your spirit. It is affecting it in a very negative way because it is bringing masculine energy, and we are feminine. That's why we're not getting along with our man. Definitely,
right. I totally agree.
Men were not meant to be with women were only meant to be with one man. Period. Point blank.
I totally agree. Yes, ma'am.
God has designed for us.
Yes,
period.
ma'am. Yes,
so
ma'am.
By us being sexually active and all that is the reason why a lot of women are out here acting like men and emotionally disturbed and on all those psychotropics.
I agree with you 100%. I created a term called semen demons. You know, they got a lot of semen demons.
Yes.
And it's some. Look at Chris eyes got bright. But you know, semen demons. You know, there's a terminology called microchimerism. And it basically says that the woman takes on the DNA of the men that she sleep with, especially if she's having unprotected intercourse. And so a lot of times the toxicity from those men, because sometimes it's Raekwon, Man, Shermike, and Junebug, and a lot of those men are dusty. They are dusty. They're unsavory. They have toxic energy, and a lot of those women ingest those men energy. What women don't understand, Miss Parker, is that you're correct. God made woman to only mirror one man because women are more or less vessels, and the man is the imprinter. He imprints his light inside of a woman. The woman is synonymous to the moon, and the man is the sun. She is to reflect his glow, his glory. Like the moon reflects the glow of the sun, she is to reflect his glow. Most women, when they're in love, you can tell to hear women say, oh, she's glowing. And she's glowing because she's taking on the glory or the glow from the dissemination of that man's imprint or spirit. But when you start getting the imprint of multiple men, then you become confused like Brittnay Renner. You can see all them semen demons in Brittnay Renner's eyes. You can tell she's a wreck. And it's unfortunate because, you know, many have told a lot of our women they can do what men can do. And you can do it. It's your right. You do what you want to do. But there's a consequence.
Right. Yes. And to answer your question, yes, I am always and forever attracted to masculine men, power. It will, when you're in your true alpha, masculinity, power, all that goes hand in hand. You walk into a room, everyone knows. You don't have to say it. You don't have to be boastful. It is who you are. And men and women see it. And yes, women are very much attracted to that.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you know, black and male heterosexuals said black women would call Miss Parker a pick-me. Well, you know what? Pick-me's get rings. So keep being feminine, Miss Parker. There's a lot of goofy women that will hate on women like you because you want to submit to a masculine man. As Kevin Samuels said, winter is coming. It's coming soon. Yes. And those are in the ark of safety will be protected. And you know, and to piggyback on what you said, Miss Parker, there's a scripture in the book, I believe the book of Isaiah, that says that the time will come when there would be Hosea, where there would be 7 women to 1 man. Yes. And I think that time is coming. A lot of women say, they said, girl, I ain't going to share no man. You might be sharing one soon. They might be sharing one because things are getting real tight. They're getting real tight. So, Todd, well, first I'm going to start with Chris. Chris, what's your take on what Omega Revelation said? And also the thing with pair bonding. And then we're going to go to Ty, and then we're going to go to Roger, and then we're going to sign off in a minute because I have to go. All right?
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, like I said, man, it's a wrap for Brittnay Renner and women of her ilk, we'll say. I mean, because nowadays it's just like, you know, they act like they can just go out here and do all this, you know, have all these reckless sex acts and act like it ain't going to be no repercussions for what they're doing. And they stacking up all them bodies and not understanding what it's doing to them psychologically. You know, so I mean, we see how wild Brittnay Renner is. I mean, she was losing it. You know what I mean? Like all the wild stuff she's posting on Instagram, and you know, she's not the only one. You know, that's the norm. She's just being seen. right now. You know what I mean? There's a lot of them who are like that. You know what I mean? And it's very true what you said. You know that all them body counts. You know what I'm saying? They add up. You know what I mean? So appreciate the sister for joining the show, by the way. But you know what I'm saying? She's out here dropping a lot of facts. You know what I mean? Because if you know if these type of things continue, I don't know what to say for how things are going to go in the future because it's going to take young women like yourself to be able to go out here and speak to the young ladies. Like you said, you was trying to talk to them, but their moms was getting involved and trying to say that you was wrong. And then my question would be, okay, so are those moms married? I bet more than likely they were single moms, old and bitter, mad because their daughters are in their youth and in their beauty and at their highest apex of getting a man, but she wants to keep the competition down, or she wants her daughter to do what she feels like she should do as far as go out there and go to school, but not secure yourself a husband or a good man to where, you know, you'll have somebody to deal with, grow with, and have kids with because she didn't do it. So that's just hating all around. And you out here trying to spread the good news and they basically telling you no. So like I said, some people just going to have to fall to the wayside and we just going to have to watch them fall and we keep them pushing. That's just how I feel about it.
No doubt, no doubt. Tom Maynard Cutner, I want you to break it down real quick to this fiasco with Brittnay Renner and what you've gotten from this discussion. And thank you for your input on helping men to get over after betrayal from bad relationships. And Ms. Parker, please continue to pop in anytime you want to. I love your insight, but bring as many women that think like yourself to this platform. I want women that think like you. If they're combative, they don't want to learn, I don't want them on my platform. I want women to come on my platform that think like you, share with your sons, share with other men and women, because mental health is a real epidemic in our community. So go ahead, Ty, real quick.
Yes. So we were talking about the women who have many men, the semen demons and all that stuff. So you have to understand that, you know, women, similar to what Ms. Parker was saying, women weren't made to be with a bunch of men. Right, because when you think about how a woman is with a man, she's adapting to that man. She's adapting to what she's made to be his helpmate. She wasn't made to be out here and do her own thing. We as humans aren't meant to be alone anyway, right? We're social creatures. Men need men, women need men, and men need women, right? So a woman is not naturally able to be on her own. The lions and tigers and other native the rival tribe will kill her. Right? When we were cavemen, we were tribal, they will kill her. The only reason why we have protection now is because we have civilization. That is an illusion. It's an illusion of safety. We have women can still be victimized by men. It's the reason why every woman has a story about being raped. When you don't have men in your life, you will be victimized by men. Men are supposed to protect men protect women from other men, right? Because we care about our daughters. We're not going to let another man attack our daughter, right? We care about our nieces. We're not going to let other men attack our niece. But if you take all the men out of society, they're left to their own, right? And this is what ends up happening. So when a woman is with multiple men, she's adapting to that man. When women and men have sex, do the women teach the man anything new in the bedroom? No, the woman follows whatever the man tells her to do. She moves wherever the man tells her to move her body, or he would not be attracted to be able to penetrate her. He'll lose his erection. So she has to follow his lead. That's the way women are. They're pleasers. They're agreeable. They're not confrontational because they can't be confrontational. They don't have the muscles to defend their point. Right. A man has the muscles he has the aggression, the kill to defend his point. Women don't. They never did in our species. So they have to have men who defend them and protect them. Now, when it comes to getting over a betrayal, what has to happen for the man is he loses himself and he allows the woman to lead. The woman does not want the man to lead because she doesn't know how to lead. She doesn't know how to lead because her body is telling her what to do. Her body is telling her babies. She has a period every month, whether she want to have a baby or not, whether she likes men or not, whether she having sex or not. Her body is controlling her more than a man's body controls him. Her hormones and all that stuff is happening. So she's not, if she could say, I want to be an astronaut, but if she happened to have sex and gets pregnant, that dream goes out the window, at least temporarily, right? While she's having that baby, while she has to be with that man to make sure he could take care of her for all this time. A man doesn't have that. He can become an astronaut. He can dedicate his entire life. All the sciences and mathematics and all that stuff have been discovered by men because they can dedicate their whole life on trying to solve this problem. They could pick up another man's research and try to solve that problem. That's why we have the technology to even speak in the way we're speaking right now on this stream. Okay, so when women are being with different men, she's adapting to that man. She get with another man, she adapted to that man. She get with another man, she adapted to that man. By the time she's 30, 40 years old, she doesn't argue with so many different men, with so many different style of men, trying to do, this man like pork chops, but this man's a vegetarian, but that man is this. And she learned this recipe for this man, but what about this man? Need new recipes. Like, she's adapted to the man. She's adapted to that man. She adapted to his kids. That's the way we are when we think about it as an animal, right? And when you understand it from that realm, you can see how it's so dysfunctional right now. You start taking men out the community, you have complete dysfunction, and that's what we have now. So what we have to do is the men have to improve themselves. That's what I do by helping men through relationships. I'm also working on programs to help younger men, right, who are going to college, to get the guys like PJ before they become the big money makers, right? Right before they get out of college, they need to have other men guiding them, not just guys like me, but all of us, to show them what the real is, because the only way we can teach these younger men is we have to show them what we went through, right? I thought I knew it all when I was 20, but I didn't know nothing. If I think back 20 years ago, I didn't know anything compared to what I know now. And 20 years from now, I'm going to learn more stuff. So we have to give to these younger men. Now, men, we have no problem to giving to younger men, but our women, like the brother said, they don't want to give to young women because they feel like they're competing. If they had men in their lives, they stay with their husbands and all that stuff. If our relationships were working properly, they wouldn't be having that fear. They would have no problems helping the younger generation of women, because that's what women aren't supposed to be sex objects for the rest of their life, for their whole life. That's why they go through menopause. That's why they breast sag. That's why they become unattractive to men. It's nature did that. We didn't decide that. They don't get to decide to say sexy or not. Do all these implants and all that. That's not natural. Okay? What's supposed to happen is, as a woman goes to her age, let's say she have a kid when she's in her 20s, she raised the kid to that kid is of age, put them through school. Now when she's in menopause, she's no longer having kids. She's not a sex object. Yeah, of course she can have sex. Of course she's going to enjoy sex. But her goal now is to give back to humanity, because she raised a human from zero. So she's supposed to give that knowledge that she gained back to humanity. That's the way she's supposed to mature into womanhood in that way. And this is not happening because we're so dysfunctional. We're so dysfunctional in our community. So that's why we have to have shows like this. That's the reason why we have these dialogues. That's why I'm happy to be on shows like this. And I love what the Kosher Clinician is doing. And everyone come on the panel. This is a very intellectual conversation. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
No, I really appreciate it, man. And I've said many times that, God has a funny way of allowing art to imitate life. Just like in the kingdom, the man, the scepter actually symbolized power, which is a rod or his staff. And so when a woman submits to a man sexually through his rod, which is a staff, she's actually submitting to his power. And a lot of women don't even see that. So when she submits to the scepter or the rod of a man, she's really submitting to his power. Like Tim Howard said, his mom was only with one woman. Woman was really designed to really be only with one man. But see, what happens when women go through a cycle of bringing in different men, that's why some, when they get in a relationship, they can't be pleased, because if you're used to Raekwon the Man, with a 9-inch rod, I'm not trying to get too graphic, but then you got an average guy. Now your body's calling for that 9-inch scepter, and so they struggle because now their body is adapted to something that it never was designed to be adapted to. Versus if they only knew a man that had an average phallus, that's all they know, and they can adapt to it, because human beings are adaptable. So real quick, Roger, we're about to sign off. It's about 20 minutes after the hour of 10 o'clock. This has been a great show. Ms. Park, I love your insight there. I want you to come back on again. And also, guys, for non-diagnostic consultations, email me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com. Roger, real quick, brother, we're about to sign off. What did you get from this show and the Brittnay Renner fiasco? Real quick.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen, again, I can't get mad at Brittnay Renner. Again, she did what any human being, male or female, would have done. They would take advantage of a situation. Now, what she did was not morally right. She's playing with a life of a child and potentially a life of this PJ. So I don't, it wasn't right. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, these women, they're going to do whatever they want to do, and you can't stop it. You can't. This train has left the station. Is already have too much momentum. Is already off. You can't stop it. All you could do, like the brother said, Ty, all you could do is work on yourself. Because once you start improving yourself, things around you are going to begin to improve. At least that's how it should work. That's how it should work. And the last thing I was going to say to Miss Parker, and I know you was talking about, your son, and I know you didn't get into it. And I know you said you hadn't watched Kevin Samuels and Dr. BOA, and these are excellent content creators. But, there's something about having a man physically there with you and you actually seen it, and somebody holding your hand and say, here, this is how it feels. That experience can't replace MP3 video format online. And like I said, this is not to shoot down any of these content creators, because this is what the information they're putting out there is correct information. But again, having a man that you could actually model and you could actually see, feel, touch, and taste next to you, not to sound any kind of weird, and you could actually see him doing these things in front of you, that makes it a big difference. So that's what I will end with.
Thank you. I agree. Yes. Thank you.
No doubt. All right. Real quick, I think we got everybody. I think Chris, I think you've already had your point of contention, and this has been another good show. I bought this one. I got you, Chris. Hold on. I'm gonna let you finish speaking, Chris. Give me 1 minute. I bought this show on at the last minute because I didn't know it would turn out to this, but I'm very honored and grateful. And like Tim said, I love Tim. Tim be holding it down for me. Listen, if you guys would share this content with at least 20 people. Right now, I'm at 16,040 or 16,050 or whatever. If you share at least 20 people, I'll get to 2,000 before the end of the month. And we'll keep this train moving with men like Ty Maynard Cutner, men like Chris Strongheart, my man Roger, and lovely women like Miss Parker, Mauricia in the house. We'll get this conversation needed, because let me tell you something. Many people in this space, they talk about different things. They talk about money, finance, relationship, law, and all that's good. But everything starts with the mind. Snuggles, and my mic is too loud. I'll back up, Snuggles. But everything starts with the mind. So Chris Strongheart, real quick, brother. She said that mic is too damn loud. So Chris Strongheart, real quick. Let's carry it home, and we're gonna sign off because I have to go.
Oh, I was going to say is that if you find yourself in the bed with a young lady who's way more sexually advanced than you are, she's teaching you everything, you just hang it up, dog. It ain't going to work for you, G. It ain't going to last, bro. Because sooner or later, she's going to be like, well, I'm showing him, leading him everything, so let me go find somebody who can actually lead me. So if she got your nose wide open like that, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to deal with her, just go ahead and hang it up, G. Just let it go.
Yeah, I'm adding an extra bass tie. I'm trying to be like Guapo, so Ms. Parker hear that masculine lion voice. that velvet, what you call it? What's my man's name? That velvet Isaac Hayes voice. But anyway, enough is enough. But listen, guys, this has been a great show. I love these conversations. And guys, once again, if you plan to share this content with at least 20 people to the 17th at our end, hit the one button. Omega Revelation. Did you have anything else to say, sir? If not, we're about to sign off.
All right, brother. Let me just say this. I agree with everything everybody said. The only reason why women tune in to, KS is because they know things are getting bad. Reality TV started off first, then you had social media. Once, you had reality TV back in 2005, and then you had the iPhone come out in 2007, around that area. So I think that's when women started noticing everything's turning bad, because I've been around this community, the Black Manosphere, since 2011. 2011, I was 21 at the time, and the first thing I heard was that, women age like milk, men age like wine. And you've seen a lot of women, they're hitting around 32. That's my age. And all I see is kids and things like that. I have no kids. but they have kids, they have a lot of baggage, and like I said to the brother earlier, you see a lot of movies in the future that's dystopian. It's usually in like an era where society's gone down bad. A lot of people don't have any jobs, things like that. If you watch the movie Gamer, Total Recall, Mad Max is a little bit more extreme, but you see these areas, you see these movies where they have a lot of areas where you have a lot of ghettos, and then you have a lot of people who are not making that much money. And this is happening right now since when COVID started. That actually, quicken up the pace as far as you have a lot of automation. A lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of businesses are closing. And a lot of women, when we say it's a cold winter or it's going to be it's going to be a very bad winter, what that means is you're going to have a time when, you have the rent moratorium that's over. Then you have a lot of people who a lot of people who are not going back to work because they were receiving so much money. Then you have labor shortage. So then you're going to have at one point in time where everybody's just trying to get a job to, pick up a meal. But that's not going to go down. A lot of people are going to be put out of the workforce. But, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I feel like the Black community, we just need to get together. I'm speaking on particularly Black people. Get together. What we need is better homes, better families. Because with families, you limit the gang violence. You limit the women who are out there on OnlyFans prostituting themselves. And I'm going to just wrap it up with that right there, brother. But thank you for adding me on your show.
No doubt, no doubt. We're about to sign off. And as Frederick Douglass once said, that power never conceded without a struggle. It never have, and it never will. I've said in the past that there are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. Female psychology, protecting the mind and the health is important. So we're going to sign off by saying this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. We're going to sign off. Thanks for the panel tonight. We're about to sign off, and you guys have a blessed night. Be well. All right, Ty. Conscious Crab. You guys about to sign off, man. I didn't mean for my voice to be so loud.
Nah, you just got it. You just don't have to get too close to the mic. That's all.
Right. I'm enjoying my new toy.
Yeah. I see that it's working, man. I see it's working. It's real good.
No. Oh my God, man. We still live.